Welcome to the studio. We are talking about watercolor paper today, and I'm going to show you a few things. I want to start with this Arches watercolor paper. Well, first I want to say that it would be so great if we could make great art on cheap paper with cheaper materials. And you can't do that, unfortunately. And watercolor is the one medium, different than all the other ones, where the materials actually have an enormous outcome for the final thing. So that's why you cannot. That would be great. So this is Arches watercolor paper. Comes in sheets. A large sheet, which is 22 by 30, and you will have to stretch that paper. There's a lot of different ways to do that. But the most important thing I want you to do or think about is you can email Dick Blick, and they will send you all of the watercolor papers on these little cards so that you can actually test them out. And so that's a really free. It's a wonderful service that they have. You could also do that with printmaking paper or whatever you're interested in. So email Dick Blick and get those samples and try them out and see what you like. Okay, so that's Arches paper. Also comes in blocks where it's gummed on all four sides so that it won't buckle while you're painting on it, which is wonderful. I want to talk to you a little bit about sketchbook paper. And I have a couple to recommend. This one right here, which is a Stillman Birn. This is the Delta. They come in beautiful surfaces. They lie flat while you're painting on them. This is actually ink with watercolor washes over the top, which is very beautiful. This is the other one I recommend, and this is the Super Deluxe by Aquabee. It is a mixed media paper, and one of the really cool features about this paper is the front-facing page is a cold pressed surface for watercolor, and the back page is for writing, like for ink. So on a lot of mine, you'll see watercolors on the front-facing page, and then I use the back a lot of times to take notes on. So I'll make notes here and do the painting here. So here's a little study for one of my classes at Stevens, where I was talking about how does light work on a spherical form again, and kind of, you know, some nice basic things. And then let me show you a painting. Here's a little study for how do I do strawberries. So light and shadow, and you can see that this paper has relatively little buckle to it. Now you could clip this with a bulldog clip if you're adding a ton of water, but most of the time in the sketchbook you're not doing big washes. You would use a block or a stretched paper if you know you're doing something with a lot of washes. Okay, so, and I probably have, let me show you. So here's a page with notes and then some small washes right over the top. And maybe, why don't we do a few minutes of painting? One of the things that you can do when you are in your sketchbook is just do little ovals of color. And don't just move those around. It doesn't have to be these oval shapes. I just make those because it's easy for my hand to do. But just do little, and this is an exercise I do often with people. And I want you to just cover that page with a color. And have these all be separate. Because what we want is we want these little bubbles of color. And then we're gonna dry those with a hairdryer. And then we're gonna go over the top of part of this bubble with another color, okay? So imagine now that this is dry. And then we're gonna go right over the top with another hue. And because what will happen is right there, where you have layered those, you're gonna produce a third color. So we have the parent color, well, not a parent color, but we have the first color, then we have the second hue, and then over the top of that layering, you're gonna have a third color. Because one of the things that people forget about is, of course, there is mixing colors on the palette, but there is also colors that are produced on the actual surface, okay? And those colors cannot be mixed because they're produced with layering. And the white of the page plays a role in producing that color, which is fabulous, okay? So you can do pages like this. Now I know what you're thinking. That's a waste of paper. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as wasting paper. And I know that materials cost money. It's true. But you have to kind of disregard that in order to take your art to the next level. You cannot be thinking about how much a particular material costs. That's just the nature of it. Oh, look, we got a beautiful shadow as that yellow passed over that violet gray. We get that color right between them, which is gorgeous. If you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit JennWiggs.com.